A month into the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and the war has entered a stalemate phase. Or this is a window of opportunity.
The Ukraine defense being fully depleted is just one of, I think they mean like the defense industry, like their ability to fucking rebuild tanks and shit like that, or rebuild weapons and shit like that. I think it was just mistranslation because I haven't seen it in any other resource other than that. And it could also be, or it could literally be like Ukrainians lying so they get more weapons. You know what I mean? On purpose. So they, they understandably need more weapons. So they're like, oh yeah, we're fucking dying. Please give us more weapons.
Opportunity for
But
each
it's probably
side
just
to
the
set up for a
factories.
checkmate. Okay, enough of the chess analogies. An average infantryman like me is more mentally on par with checkers. In this video, we're going to analyze why this surprise stalemate is happening, where the war might be headed by examining each axis of advance, starting in the north with Kiev and making our way south to the battle in Mariupol. Wait, isn't that where all the Nazis are supposed to be that I keep hearing about? Well, we'll get into that at the end of the video. Today, March 29th.
If you see someone promoting that, like, Russian troops got fucking nuclear radiation poisoning and had to be, like, shuttled back to fucking Belarus to be healed, understand that that person is just lost in the fucking sauce. They are no longer offering you any sort of, like, reasonable analysis. They're just lapping up whatever, anti-Russian propaganda they can.
The big news is that the Russian Deputy Defense Minister, Alexander Foreman, said Moscow would drastically cut back its military offensive in the area of Ukraine's capital of Kiev. This sounds like great news at face value, but look at what those sneaky Russians are doing with all that artillery power. Instead of shelling Kiev, they started focusing on hitting the towns that encircle the city. So yes, they are technically restraining from attacking the capital while continuing to blast away at the towns that they would eventually need to strategically capture in order to encircle the city. If those towns are taken, then they'll be in a position to checkmate Ukraine. Between yesterday and today, the Russian army shelled Kharkiv, Zabamia, and all of the nearby villages with multiple launch rocket systems and artillery. I don't know about you, but looking at this recent pattern of artillery strikes, it looks like Moscow isn't doing Ukraine any favors like they claim they are in the service of peace, as they say. The Russians get this big headline in the media that makes it look like they're serious about peace, and they get to appear like they're giving up on Kiev, all while they continue to try to level surrounding towns.
The situation on the ground is changing so fast that as I'm editing this today, March 30th, turns out the Russian forces have started attacking again. The live map from today shows the clashes are happening in all of the towns on the outskirts of Kiev, and they are technically not shelling the actual capital.
I want to talk about how strategically important the town of Irpin is to both sides. When we look at the live conflict map, we can see the heaviest fighting over the past week has taken place here.
Today, the mayor of Irpin said 300 civilians and 50 Ukrainian soldiers were KIA, all while Russian soldiers are supposedly scaling back operations in the area according to Moscow. Over half the city has been leveled as of today.
The reason it's so difficult for the Russians to capture is because the river that's
the fucking French documentary guy. He's using the French documentary dude. I mean, he's not dead. I'm just saying that. I remember.
Separates Bucha from Irpin. We can see this town is the perfect choke point for the Ukrainian resistance because it's the last major suburb before entering Kiev proper. This is where they've placed most of their defensive forces. There are 4 major avenues of approach in the city. Most of them have to go over a river, so they've destroyed many of the bridges here, making it difficult for the Russians to advance.
So why can't they just go around Irpin and straight into Kiev? That's because the Ukrainian forces would then be able to cut off their supply line right there.
Without capturing Irpin, they cannot safely advance into Kiev due to the restrictions of the natural geography. In fact, by looking at the conflict map, we can see that the stalemate is divided entirely along the Irpin River. So they've dug in on the other side of the river while they wait for reinforcements or the results of the peace talks.
So the 2 possible scenarios here are that the Russians purposely withdrew from Irpin as they wait for reinforcements. The other possible scenario is that they've been pushed out by the Ukrainian resistance and they no longer have enough troops. So let's take a look at some of the evidence for that case.
If you believe the official NATO estimates, then after a month of fierce fighting in Ukraine, 15,000 Russian soldiers are KIA and 30,000 wounded. That means over 10% of the entire Russian military has been destroyed so far. It's difficult to confirm which casualty reports are correct, but we can get an idea by tracking the ambulance buses carrying Russian casualties to the rear through Belarus. There have been many reports on the live conflict map that shows videos of dozens of these buses moving casualties back to the train yards where all of the windows are covered up on these ambulances. Each one of those buses can hold around 50 people, and they're running constantly.
So how are they able to predict casualty rates? Well, military analysts can actually do this with some degree of accuracy because there's a direct correlation between certain data points. So for instance, typically in a war, for every 1 soldier KIA, you're going to see 2 or 3 times the amount wounded. For every military officer that's KIA, there's usually about 3 or 4 enlisted soldiers that are going to fall. The fact that Ukraine has provided some proof that at least 7 Russian generals have been killed so far, it gives Western analysts evidence to back up their claim that around 10,000 Russian soldiers are casualties in one way or another.
More evidence supporting the theory that Russian forces have been largely destroyed.
I don't understand how those buses can hold 50 people. Not to like, I really like task and purposes analysis. Like, I think they're pretty level-headed, but I don't know how the fuck this bus is gonna fit 50 people in it. Can it? Unless they're dead people, I guess, but I thought these were injured buses, though. Rich person opinion? Bus too small? Wait, what? Yeah, bro. Everything I do is clouded by my wealthy, out-of-touch lifestyle. What is this? First charter bus, let's plan. 48 adult passengers per bus. Yeah, what size is the bus, though? First charter bus.
Yo.
I mean, maybe they're stacking. They're just like stacking dead bodies. That could be the case.
Generals have been killed so far. It gives Western analysts evidence to back up their claim that around 10,000 Russian soldiers are casualties in one way or another.
More evidence supporting the theory that Russian forces have been largely destroyed and will not be able to have the ability to further advance on Kyiv came to us on March 18th when we saw them digging large dirt earthen berms to hide their tanks and armored vehicles. This was a tactic that we saw used by the Iraqis against the US. Maxar satellite images captured these defensive fortifications and these building operations in towns of Ozera,
we know how well they did.
Zhevyansky, Baranskaya, the Anatov Air Base, most of the cities just northwest of Kyiv. Can you imagine for a second just how difficult it would be to dig those 6-foot-high berms in the freezing cold when the ground is like solid ice? Seeing the Russian army hiding behind a berm makes you wonder if the main battle tank concept of World War II, it might finally be obsolete.
The main theory supporting that is that 3 new anti-tank weapon systems are responsible for this revolution in warfare that we're living through right now. The Javelin, NLAW, and Bayraktar drone have never been used against a massive armored opponent before at this scale. Digging into the berms will help protect against the Javelin and the NLAW's automatic tracking features, but they can't save you from the Bayraktar drones overhead.
However, there is one curious video of a Ukrainian soldier firing the NLAW missile at the top of a Russian T-72 tank, and the missile appears to have no effect on the turret's armor. Do you see how it just kind of fizzles out there? A lot of
I thought it was because it was too short range for it to be deployed, and it just basically hit it with it didn't blow up. It was too close.
pro-Russian networks are using this video as proof that the NLAW is ineffective against their tanks. But a lot of people don't know about the minimum arming distance of explosive munitions in the military.
Yeah, there it is.
Minimum distance of 65 feet or 20 meters before it will allow itself to detonate. For safety reasons, to avoid
Person has no clue what they're talking about. No, what do you mean? He was literally fucking infantry. He probably used those weapons before, dude. I mean, I don't know, actually. I don't know if they fucking hand off Javies to
to like regular army infantry in the same way that they do to like regular Ukrainian people, but
Thanks for the great streams.
I'm sure he's been
Hasan.
trained with it and shit.
Avoid the operator from getting hit with their own shrapnel from the explosion. This missile is looking out for your best interests. Even if you don't care about you, the NLAW does. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, Russia has not yet given up on their efforts to regroup and assault. The 35th Combined Russian Army, which is in charge of the Kiev assault, is sending back their damaged tanks into Belarus and rotating new ones in, and they've set up a repair base inside of Russia and Belarus. Moscow recently handpicked a commander, Colonel General Alexander Chekhov, to personally command efforts to regroup northwest of Kiev. These are all signals that Russia's not giving up on that territory yet. General Chekhov was in charge of the Russian forces for 2 years of their successful combat operations in Syria. He originally joined the military back when it was still the Soviet Union in 1989, so he's probably down to conquer all the land up to Western Germany. As we predicted, the Russians have started to set up a command post to control all the units that are operating in this sector. Here, there's even video footage released by the Ministry of Defense in Russia that appears to show
Wait. Russia can't even fucking conquer Ukraine. Also, Russia might actually conquer what, Poland and move all the way into NATO countries and move all the way into fucking Eastern Germany. Like, I know he's joking. No. I know he's joking. I like him a lot. I'm simply saying that there are plenty of people who are not joking about that, and they say that. The only people who should be terrified is Moldovans, okay? If you're a Moldovan, dude, I'll tell you right now. Mama Liga, you better fucking should be worried. Okay? Guys, I know he wasn't being serious. He was just joking. I know. I like tasking purpose. Shut the fuck up. You don't have to like disprove everything I'm saying, okay? Immediately. Where's Moldovan Mama Liga today? I'm surprised he's not in here. Wait, what? That's not how you spell it, dude.
General Chekhov flying into one of these newly established military bases northwest of Kiev in order to give out some awards to the Russian soldiers.
One thing that's like actually fucking crazy is that these dumbass generals, they literally go to the front lines regularly. It's very weird. How are you in sniper rifle distance as a general, dude? Like, it makes no sense. I don't understand how you can ever be in sniper rifle distance as a general. It's very weird. I don't know what the fuck Russians are on. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, where they're just like literally they're headbutting sniper rifle bullets like regularly. Russia has a lot less competent NCOs than the Western nations do, and so they have to rely top down on generalship a lot more. Yeah. A lot of the death is fake news. No, it's not. Russia has literally fucking confirmed some of the general casualties. And by the way, a general casualty is like a gigantic fucking L. Like an actual gigantic L, because generals are being sent to the front lines to boost morale in a lot of instances. And also because they're more competent, I guess. But also to boost morale. So when a general fucking dies, you're destroying morale. That's huge. It's insane. You've literally lost strategic competence and fucking morale at the same time. Wild stuff to see. Actually wild stuff to see. I can't recall a general ever KIA when I was in the army. Super rare and demoralizing. Yeah, it's like insane. I mean, also, come on. The American military is not fucking fighting against the American military. The American military only fights against the weapons that they gave 20 years ago, not fighting against literally weapons that they're funneling in right now. You know what I mean? So that's the major advantage there, is that
Happy
the American military is rarely ever fighting against, you know, an army. Well, you're never fighting against an army with literal fucking air support, too.
In the east of Kiev,
Also
the
huge.
Ukrainians pushed the Russian forces out of Brovary over the past week. These are the first tangible signs of Ukrainian armed forces successful counterattacking and taking back land. In the town of Sumy, there are reports of the entire 1st Guards tank army fully withdrawn from Ukraine, which is outstanding news for the resistance because it's known as one of the most advanced and elite units in the Russian military. The 1st Guards army is considered a prestigious unit to be assigned to because it's garrisoned near Moscow and they receive the latest hardware. But this raises the question of where are they being sent?
In the Donbass region, Russian tanks are using a new tactic we've never seen before, where they're flying small drones directly overhead and then they look down at their own tank so they can observe the direction of enemy fire. Here we see a Ukrainian anti-tank missile just barely miss them, and they're able to instantly have eyes on the attack's point of origin. Ukrainian AT gunners can confuse this strategy by attacking from 2 locations simultaneously.
In the south, the war is very different, with some cities already entering an occupation phase. In Kherson, Russian forces are creating propaganda videos for their state TV, showing them feeding the population there, while at the same time hitting people with bombs in the other cities. I saw these as vapid propaganda videos because the city has only enough supplies for 10 days, and 1 or 2 Russian military trucks handing out food is theater, it's show. The weird thing to note with
He knows. My man, if there's anyone that knows that better than anybody else, is homie right here. He's done it. You know, as an American infantryman.
this town is that it fell with little resistance, and while it's been occupied, there hasn't really been any kind of large spread.
You sure? Yeah, of course I... What do you mean? Yes, he was in the army, and he has literally talked about how conflicted he was seeing this, because like he saw what Russians are doing, and he was reminded of like what he has done in the past. He mentioned it before. Yeah. Why are chatters so fucking like, why are you so excited to like shove shit down my throat or shove shit down the throat of like the video that we are watching? Yeah, I know he said it in the video, literally in the other video.
Spread guerrilla warfare resistance that we've kind of predicted. Don't get me wrong, there's huge peaceful protests with over 5,000 people that are protesting against the Russian occupation, but Kherson is firmly under Russian control at the time being. But something interesting is happening here. Over the past week, Ukrainian forces launched a successful counterattack.
We can see how from March 15th to March 30th, the Ukrainian forces have pushed the Russian troops back from Mykolaiv all the way to Kherson.
On Tuesday, March 15th, satellite images showed the Ukrainian armed forces were able to destroy Russian attack helicopters that were stationed at the Kherson International Airport. This has caught me by surprise, and it's really impressive that the Ukrainians have been able to do this. Since then, they've been making progress, slowly working their way, trying to retake towns and villages on their way towards Kherson. This is great news for the Ukrainians, and it's solid proof that the Russian forces are struggling. The only thing that worries me here that no one seems to be talking about is at the same time as the Russians are retreating from Mykolaiv, they made a lot of progress advancing north here. Russian forces appear to be quietly headed towards a new town that no one is really talking about yet. It's called Kryvyi Rih, and I couldn't figure out why the Russians seem to be prioritizing capturing this location instead of Mykolaiv and Odessa. It turns out this city is the main steel industry of the whole Eastern Europe. It's a globally important center of iron ore mining and metallurgy. On March 3rd, they had to stop steel making operations in the city at
Come on, bro. Russia would never have imperialist interests, bro. Come on, imperialism, the highest state of capitalism, bro. Russia is not a capitalist oligarch run kleptocratic state, bro. Come on, bro. That's crazy, bro. This is wild. That would not be a reason. There would be no material interest in Russia invading Ukraine at all. And to command and control any of the Ukrainian industries. Maybe not the fucking wheat, like everyone was saying. Oh, Ukraine is the world, Russia's breadbasket or whatever the fuck. But like this is legit. And so, by the way, Donbass being a region of importance is specifically because of the steel industry there as well, and I think coal. So there are strategic resources. Literally, nobody said that. No, there are people who fucking say that. They're like, oh no, it doesn't fit the definition. It doesn't fit the Leninist definition of imperialism. It 100% does. It does. Of course it does.
16 months, Pog. Forgive me for being
And it's not.
against
This
them,
is
or
like,
that I won second
this is
place in
tying
the
it
conference
back.
for my research.
All Russians are epigenetically communist. That's true. Anyway.
ArcelorMittal because they were concerned for the safety of their 26,000 workers. And last but not least, this is the hometown of the Ukrainian president Volodymyr Zelensky. The latest development from the region comes from Oleksandr Vikolov, the recently appointed head of the regional military state administration in the city, who said that Ukrainian army has pushed the Russians 40 kilometers away from the city, and they're attempting to push the Russians all the way back to Kherson. The local mining company Mantovest also shuttered their doors on March 12th, but not before first sending some of their huge concrete trucks to block roadways to slow down the Russian advance. Russian sources reported that this is an almost impossible city to capture because the area is littered with minefields and defensive fortifications. They point out that this is brutal of the Ukrainian forces to be mining all these fields where the farmers work. It sounds like the area is littered with mines. This is one of the regions where a lot of the grain growing normally happens. Ukraine provides 14% of the world's wheat, corn, and sunflower oil food products. So experts are worried that this could lead to a global famine. Unless you're China and you...
No, we already fucking did that. And also, that's also bullshit too. The typical task and purpose. Ultimately, no matter how fucking woke you are in a lot of issues, when it comes to China, a lot of liberals' brains just shut off. But this is precisely what every single country, including the United States and everyone else did, as we talked about yesterday. Yeah, Ukraine, how dare you defend yourself? Wait, what? No one said that. No one is surprised that Ukraine, of course, wants to justifiably defend itself from a imperialist force.
Continued sacrifice of floppy disks into the well of plenty.
Why are they so poor if they provide 14% of worldwide wheat? Too much corruption? What? No. Ukrainian, a lot of wheat is self-produced by nations, but they do export a lot. Ukraine exports a lot to Libya, or Lebanon, Turkey, MENA region countries, okay? But because wheat is such an important resource, most countries just, farm their own, because otherwise it would be devastating if you were tied back to, if it was like directly tied to like Turkey, which gets 90% of its wheat from Ukraine. You'd get destroyed when Russia decides to invade Ukraine. Anyway, but as soon as there was conflict in the Black Sea region, immediately other countries decided to start overproducing wheat for themselves and for others in an effort to export it. And wheat in and of itself, it's not like the fucking, 16th century. Wheat itself is not exactly a resource that is going to, make you a lot of money. And it doesn't even matter. A fuckload of, I don't know, like lithium comes from some of the poorest countries. That doesn't change how poor they are because they're being exploited. Ukraine has always been exploited as well. A similar capacity. Okay.
You've spent the last 10 years hoarding grain so that in the event of a war, your country would be fine.
Speaking of which, it shouldn't surprise anyone that today, March 30th, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi and confirmed that they'd be seeking closer ties to rebuff what they see as illegal Western sanctions. What if I told you they've been working together this whole time since the beginning? The only real question is, when will China take a crack at Taiwan? Moving about 300 kilometers to the east in the city of Mariupol.
This is the site of some of the worst fighting in the entire war. The city is surrounded by Russian forces and continues to face heavy air and artillery bombardment during the fourth week of.
Dude, I don't think China overtaking Taiwan, if it ever even happened, would look like Russia and Ukraine. Like, I don't think the amount of support, guns, weapons, tactical help that America is offering,
Thanks for keeping me company.
America's offering Taiwan would ever be able to would be enough, I guess. China Taiwan watchers are the biggest fucking weirdos. Yeah. What? Nothing like it. It would look like World War III, real World War III. Not only that, but the weapons in Taiwan already has is insta. Wait, what? No, it wouldn't be like this at all. I don't think it would be like that. I think it would be closer to Hong Kong. You would have like fucking paramilitaries and shit that you know, you would have like paramilitaries and shit, but
not enough brain rot.
Ultimately they would get fucking ripped. You're horribly misinformed. Look into it. What? I don't think people understand I don't think people understand the attitudes of the Taiwanese people living in Taiwan towards like China's involvement in their country. It's not as like it's not like, I mean, there's certainly anti-Chinese sentiment, but not to the same degree as like anti-Russian sentiment within Ukraine. Like, Ukrainian sovereignty and Ukrainian interest, Ukrainian nation state project has literally always historically been anti-Russian, understandably. Okay. Obviously, Taiwan also had similar takes, and they got thoroughly owned by Mao. But having said that, if you look at their recent attitude, or their attitude in general, you showed again you have no clue on this matter. I hate this so much, dude. Why? Why do people come in here and just to say that and leave, dude? It's just like they got no, they have nothing. You're arguing with Mr. Massive Nut. Wake up. Wait, what do you mean? He's got big ass nuts. Maybe he knows. Grave again, Hasan, do it. Yeah, my grave has been dug, dude. I've been fucking thoroughly destroyed because a bunch of dumbass shitlibs cut videos about how fucking bad my takes are, in which they just straight up lie about any sort of nuanced approach that I would have, and just say Hasan loves Russia, Hasan loves Russia, Hasan loves imperialism with Russia, and Taiwan is literally OG China. He says, you sent all these loser chatters to an island like China did. Okay, stop. Anyway, yeah. All right, we're done. We're done with this. Okay.
Of the invasion. Over 160,000.
Why can't these fucking losers take the America line and just suck China's cock while simultaneously giving Taiwan weapons, but then literally sit there like the little bitches that they are and go, yeah, one, two states, but one nation overall, right? Right? Our Chinese masters, right? Huh? Why can't you also shut the fuck up like Joe Biden shuts the fuck up when he has a conversation with Xi Jinping? Huh? Why can't you? What's up? Have we recognized Taiwanese independence? No. Shut the fuck up. These motherfuckers, like, when I mentioned that, you're like, whoa, dude, what are you talking about? There is literally functionally no difference between the Bing chilling shit that John Cena did and what the American diplomats do on a regular basis when having a conversation with China. Okay? No difference whatsoever. But in the media, we have this different attitude. We're like, hold up, dude. Oh, no. Actually, I'm on Reddit. And I know better. And also that, you know, it's totally. America one day is going to fucking, you know, is going to beef up its defenses in Taiwan. And then China's going to invade Taiwan. And then Taiwan's going to fight back. And then, you know, it'll happen one day. Huh. Yeah, you like everybody always loves to do the Bing chilling joke, but like literally we are all Bing chilling, okay? All of us. Every single one of us. Our reliance on Chinese manufacturing is so fucking incredible that like it doesn't even matter what your perspective is, it doesn't matter what the NBA's perspective is. It doesn't matter what LaChina James's perspective is, okay? It doesn't matter. None of it matters. People in Taiwan just want to fucking live their daily lives, okay? They want to just survive. Just like the people in Ukraine do, just like the people in Russia do. They just want to fucking live, okay? I hate the American narrative that, like, there's always, like, an underlying, you know, let's take the fucking fight to them directly and let's do what we couldn't do historically, you know? It's just you're posturing specifically for them. You're posturing for Taiwanese people from America. I'm Taiwanese living in Japan. My family's Taiwanese. I agree that China will take Taiwan eventually. The most anti-China Taiwanese have already left Taiwan. But I think you're mistaken if you think the Taiwanese people love China. No, I don't think they love China. Nobody fucking loves China. Why the fuck would you love China? No, of course you don't love China. You just don't give a shit as much as Americans act like you do. At least the studies say that. No one said that. Chill Pasta said that. I was trying to find what he said on here as well. Asian pretending to be Taiwanese. Official U.S. policy, Shanghai Communique of 1972. The United States acknowledges the Chinese on either side of the Taiwan Strait maintain there is but one China and that the Taiwan is part of China. The United States does not challenge that position. Taiwanese, all my family's in Taiwan except for my parents, and everyone just wants to keep the status quo, not war, where Taiwan gets annihilated. Yeah. China and Taiwan are two different states with a shared nation. Ukraine and Russia are two different nation states on both fronts.
Has Putin resurfaced yet?
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I'm dumb. Okay, let's stop talking about this, please. The current Taiwanese government has definitely been a bit more aggressive in their diplomatic language, but yeah, I don't think the Taiwanese people are bloodthirsty for war. I'm Taiwanese American, parents from both Taiwan, and I just want status quo. My aunt is Taiwanese as well, for the record. I mean, it's still anecdotal, obviously, but I'm not pulling the Taiwan information out of my ass. But obviously, fucking chat, it doesn't know or care about that, but that's fine. obviously that doesn't mean I have like the complex historical understanding of Taiwan that like the average Redditor the average Redditor knows, because they've read all the fucking they've read all the Reddit posts. They've sucked in all the information. But yeah, well, I have 5 Taiwanese aunts. Well, you just owned me. There's nothing I can say to that.
1,000 citizens are still there, and they're without heat in the winter, and over 5,000 have reportedly died from the Russian army's attacks on the city. This is where one of the most controversial Ukrainian units are located, and a lot of you have asked why I haven't really talked about this yet, and part of the reason is because it doesn't support my pro-Ukrainian narrative. Yes, I've avoided talking about the issues so far, but we need to examine the Ukrainian Azov Battalion, because this is one of the groups fighting here in this town.
Wait, I need to understand. Is he about to fucking, is he about to be like pro-Russia? No shot.
Azov Battalion is a far-right group that the Russians say are a bunch of filthy old Nazis. And while that might be true, there are only about 1,000 of them. They're not originally even an official part of the Ukrainian military.
Okay, bro. I mean, homie was in Iraq, okay? He knows how Nazis operate within the ranks of the American military, I'm sure, okay? That would have been a more honest take than oh man, there's a couple thousand of them. It's not a big deal. Like
They're an all-volunteer group that took their patriotism a few steps too far. In 2014...
Okay, yeah. Listen, look. Any kind of information that you hear from anyone in the West on this shit is literally just always going to be super minimizing. At this stage, it's not as damaging anyway. Like, obviously, at this stage, Russian invasion is the first and foremost most important thing. Leading up to the Russian invasion, of course, the Azov Battalion was damaging, and of course, in the aftermath of the Russian invasion, when it ends, it's going to be really, really fucking bad. But currently having this conversation over and over again, or at least talking about just Azov Battalion, saying they're just volunteers, saying they're only 1,000 guys, it's bullshit. You'll see. Okay, it's not just the Azov Battalion; it's Ukrainian nationalism, and how long it's gone unaddressed, unexamined, and how much it's been able to fucking take hold in not just Ukrainian politics, but like obviously, like how much has been overlooked and shit.
Love you, Hasan. Keep up the great work.
There's no reason to constantly talk about it though.
They were officially integrated.
And who is propping them up?
National Guard of the Ukraine, and they've been accused of assaulting Ukrainian citizens in the area that don't look like them. It's estimated that about 20% of the Azov Battalion recruits are Nazis.
The reason the Ukrainian military...
By the way, that's literally, you know the old saying, if there's one Nazi at a table eating with 10 people, you have 11 Nazis. The Azov Battalion has said openly, like, no, we got 10 to 20% are Nazis, but like, you know, we just have a difference in agreement. No, they're... Not only is the entire fucking battalion Nazis, get the fuck out of here, holy shit, they're saying 20% are self-admitted openly Nazis. And secondly, it's not just 1,000 people, it is a collection of multiple different groups. Azov is just the most popular one that everybody hyper-focuses on and talks about. Because it was dumb enough to literally put a Wolf's Angel in their fucking patch, in their battalion logo, and the Black Sun, which they deleted. And then they just put just the Wolf's Angel, which is still incredibly fucking stupid. But...
military is probably looking the other way right now is because they really need the Azov Battalion's help in Mariupol.
But it's important to note that the unit denies that they adhere to that ideology, even if they do seem to...
dude, it's like...
rock a lot of SS swag.
This is definitely not a good look. I mean, this is
I mean, they have battalions called the Freikorps. Like, they have a bunch. It's not just Azov, dude. Like... Oh man, I can't wait for the think tank economy. The think piece economy is gonna pop so fucking hard post like Russian invasion. Like, oh, a look back at what went wrong in Ukraine. Like a look back at what went wrong in Ukraine are the far right paramilitary groups that, you know, trained some of the far right Nazis in our countries when they went over to fight against Russia. Why are they doing white terrorism in our countries now? How did that happen? The blowback of like American Nazis going to Ukraine and fighting alongside Ukrainian Nazis, which they have been doing for many, many years, and getting battle hardened and battle trained only to come back to America and to European cities and, you know, doing whatever the fuck they have, their ideological interests, like representing their ideological interests. How will that happen? What will that look like?
Gross.
Basically, it looks like Russia's trying to exaggerate the reality of the far-right problem in Ukraine, while the Ukrainian government is trying their best to pretend this problem doesn't exist. Due to these issues, since 2015, the United States has refused to provide any training or help to the Azov regiment.
No training for you.
But I don't buy
That's bullshit. I mean, he's
that a
admitting.
couple of the Javelin missile systems haven't slipped into their hands.
It's not even that they haven't slipped in their hands. Of course they're training them, dude. Of course. Come on. Like, I mean, we know that they are because we see them. Like, how do you think they're using Javelin missiles against Russian tanks? They didn't get training? How the fuck did the Javelin missiles, in all the videos that you watch in Mariupol, how did that happen? How did they arrive in the hands of the Azov Battalion? Of course they are. Of course. They do. Yeah, 100%. And they've also never stopped. Like, that was bullshit too. And they've been openly training them as well. And it's, again, not just the Azov Battalion, so it doesn't matter. Like, this is a much, much, much larger conversation to have, but one that I'm sick and tired of having over and over again because so many fucking dumbass liberals clip this and be like, dude, you cover it for 35 minutes and then only in the end slap on that, like, Russia is actually bad for invading. And that makes it seem like you're justifying it. It's like, no, dude, you're just a fucking brain-broken liberal who cannot comprehend anything outside of the fucking spoon-fed propaganda that you've been used to non-fucking stop. That's the difference, okay? I have never, ever said that it was okay. I've been anti-Russian invasion of Ukraine. This is the fucking jump. Suck my dick. And then there's this side of the fucking Russian propaganda that's actually Russian propaganda. Ukrainians are killing their own citizens by forcing them not to be able to leave and forcing them to fight. Okay, listen, dude. Forced conscription is real, obviously. They've literally opened up their fucking prisons. They're trying to fight against a large force, okay? They're trying to fight against a large army that is attacking them. But this idea that they're like fucking, I don't know, killing people, making them forcibly making them stay in Mariupol, forcibly making the civilians stay and get shelled by Russians. Like, that's stupid. Finally waking up and turning conservative? Clap. It's the conservative position to say that, like, arming white nationalist militias is going to have demonstrable blowback as it has before. That's the conservative position? Since when?
So, yes, there is some truth to the idea that there are some unsavory characters operating inside of Ukraine, but just because a country isn't perfect doesn't give Putin the right to invade Ukraine, and it's clear he's using it as an excuse. It reminds me a little of how the U.S. used Islamic extremism as an excuse to invade Iraq.
I love this guy. Look, he's right. I mean, I've said this as well. How do I describe this to you guys all the time? Russia using denazification as a reason to go into Ukraine is like America saying they're going to spread democracy in Iraq, okay? It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's just what you're telling your people so they get on board with what you're doing.
Galvanized the extremist insurgency there. Ironically, after the U.S. invasion, it created more extremists in Iraq. A similar situation appears to be happening here in Ukraine, where the Russian invasion is creating more far-right fighters in response. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or one of those.
It's not. It's just the understandable consequence of a nation fighting back against an imperial force. Time and time again, it has happened. It's happened every time America's done it. Of course, it's gonna happen when fucking Russia does it. Oh my God, I'm so annoyed.
If you build it, they will come moments. Over the last.
Yeah, but the difference is that you said America deserved 9/11. Says inside your trunk. Yeah, I did. And as a 6-month subscriber, you agree with that take. So sorry.
Last 2 weeks, Russian forces have steadily made progress to fully encircle the Mariupol city. They've been reinforced by new units. That there's video proof of them being unloaded at a captured port just south of there at Berdyansk. Fresh troops and equipment have been seen moving and being unloaded there on March 24th. Reports of Russian commanders being KIA in both their 810th Naval Infantry Brigade and their 150th Motorized Rifle Division indicates that losses in the city are high. These mixed signals make it difficult for us to be able to tell what Russian forces will be able to do if they do capture Mariupol. Will they then launch a coordinated attack into the Donbass region, or will they be stuck trying to control this port city? We don't know. The Russians aren't exactly entirely squeaky clean either, as we've seen them turning to using private mercenaries from their own country and allied nations. This is a similar strategy that the US had to do in Iraq in order to have enough security.
And much like the United States' troops, they got straight fucking Nazis in their private military contractors as well, baby. Guess what, dude? Those hardened war fighters, dude, that they use all around and all these other special operations, a lot of them straight Nazis, okay?
Right.
Just like the ones in the American private military groups. So my man is speaking directly from the heart here, directly from his own personal experience.
In their country. You can tell if someone is pro-private military if they call them contractors, and you can tell if they're against it if they call them filthy mercenaries. You know, they're just gotta murk them. A lot of people don't know this, but at the height of the war in Iraq, the U.S. was employing 21,000 private...
Stop. No way. You mean to tell me that the United States uses private security contractors all the fucking time? What's next? Are you going to tell me that it's deeply hypocritical of the United States to claim that Russia is using anti-personnel landmines, which is, of course, really fucked up, by the way. It is really fucked up and disgusting. And in a just world, those people who deploy those anti-personnel landmines would have to suffer at the hands of those anti-personnel landmines. But America also does not have a written in the law policy about not using said anti-personnel landmines, or, for example, saying cluster munitions should be banned. It's actually a war crime to use cluster munitions, but then we sell cluster munitions to other countries and we use cluster munitions all the time. Man, that would be crazy. That'd be crazy if America didn't sign on to a landmine treaty. Sorry. It's also deeply hilarious when America says, we have to fucking literally, you know, take these Russian guys over to the tribunal and have an international criminal court tribunal for their war crimes. That's really funny. Of course, America famously literally has a law that makes it illegal to extradite a singular diplomat, American service member, or anyone associated with America doing war crimes at the behest of America to ever get tried at The Hague, because they would invade The Hague if that was what would happen. Okay. So that's why I use this as an opportunity for a lot of you to justify a lot of your justifiable anger towards Russia to just, you know, use that same energy against America, okay? Because we're Americans here, motherfucker. That's, you know, we theoretically are supposed to be able to do something about this, which we can, of course. But, you know, when I mention that, then, you know, I'm a defeatist and I want Donald Trump to win or something. Oh, yeah.
American contractors like Blackwater, 43,000 foreign contractors, and about 118,000 Iraqis were all on the payroll. More private contractors than actual military service members in Iraq at the time. Russia's attempting to do the same thing here by deploying their Wagner Group private security soldiers. So while Moscow's talking about peace and saying that they're going to restrain from attacking Kiev, at the same time they're sending over 1,000 Wagner soldiers to the front.
It's my belief that the stalemate that's playing out in Ukraine right now over the last week is an attempt by Russia to buy time to reorganize and reinforce their army. If I put on my tinfoil hat, it looks like China's slowly showing their real hand in what's shaping up to be a Cold War of the democracies versus autocracies. The real question is, how much combat power will the Russians be able to muster over the next few months, and will it be enough to take Kiev?
So that's all I have for this update on the Ukrainian war. Please let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with my assessment. I'm your average infantryman, Chris Cappy. You're watching Task and Purpose. If you want to learn more about
Democracy. I mean, yeah, Ukrainian democracy is a joke, but hey, you know.